Hello and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you out to the shed of many names on this evening where we're going to get busy making bread. It's a cool, cold night. Good time to crank up the oven and get to making some peasant bread. Now, I know a lot of y'all do not know what peasant bread is. It's a wonderful thing when you want homemade fresh bread, but you don't want to do all the kneading. Peasant bread is a no-knead loaf bread. Same as regular bread, you just do it a little different, and it makes it so much easier for those who have trouble with arthritis in their hands. You don't have to knead the dough at all, and it's wonderful. Now in this video I will show you 3 different versions of the peasant bread, and there will be a video later on when I get some more time to show you other things that you can make with peasant bread. Oh yes. Now I'm going to get started, get the water heating up because I want it lukewarm. I have all my ingredients ready to roll, and I will see you back here in just a little bit. Okay, I have my water heated up. Now, in this cup, I have 4 cups of bread flour. Now, you can use 4 cups of all-purpose flour. That'll work fine. You can use 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 2 cups of wheat flour. You can use gluten-free flour, but you're on your own on that one because I don't know. You can follow the same recipe. You might have to add more of your gluten-free flour mix because I'm not used to making gluten-free bread. And I'm going to want here we go. I want 2 teaspoons of sugar. So the yeast will be fed. And I want 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. And this is some of your best yeast to use. This is professional baker's yeast. I'm going to add just a smidgen more because that's just me. Because I'm going to be adding some extra ingredients. And you're going to want to whisk that all together. That's instant yeast, so you don't have to proof it. Now if you're using like Red Star or regular yeast, you can proof it. You can add the sugar to the water and then add your yeast to that and proof it that way. Mix it in real good. You're going to want two teaspoons of salt. And yes, I'm using pink Himalayan salt. The salt is a preservative. Now, if you want to make just white peasant bread, you would stop now, add your water, and you can catch up when I add the water for this one. Now, this is the second recipe. I'm making an herbal Parmesan peasant bread. So, this is 1/4 cup of fresh grated, dried, very good grated Parmesan cheese. And of course, all the recipes will be in the description box below. This is what I want. I want a half a teaspoon of dried oregano. And I want a half a tablespoon of, just a little bit more, of garlic powder. I absolutely love to make peasant bread. It is so simple. Okay, now that is all mixed in. Now, if you wanted to, I think I'm going to make it a tablespoon of dried oregano. So I'm going to add one more, half a tablespoon. I'll correct the recipe in the description box below. Because I want a good, hearty herb bread. Make sure it's all whisked together very well. And this is going to be a very wet dough. So do not worry one bit. And this is 2 cups of warmed up Berkey water. You can use tap water if you want to. I don't like to. You can use distilled water. You can use purified water. Whichever one you want. Now if you was doing the white bread, the white peasant bread, you would just have added your water and mixed it together like this. And it's a good moist dough. Do not worry one bit about it. I do not want to waste any of this wonderful dough, and let me tell you, it smells good. I should have got my spatula, but oh well. And as you can see, it's a very nice wet dough. You want to leave it just like this, cover it up, and you're going to put it in a warm place to rise. And depending on if you use half bread flour, half wheat flour, it's going to take about an hour and a half. You want to let it rise undisturbed for at least an hour to an hour and a half. Alright, I'm going to cover this up, put it in a warm place, and I'll bring you here and bring you back. Okay, the dough, the beautiful dough, has rose double. Now you want to either use forks, or I'm using my meat forks, and you're going to want to poke it down. Now remember, it is a very sticky dough. You want to deflate it very well. But let me tell you, oh my gracious, it smells good. And this is going to make your house smell so wonderful. Now, I'm using a cast iron pan. Now, if you have 2 1-quart oven-safe glass bowls, you can use those too. You can use one big loaf pan, however you want to bake your bread. Now, I have buttered this pan a little bit. I'm going to butter it just a little bit more. You want to make sure whatever baking dish you're using is buttered very well, because you do not want your bread to stick whatsoever. And yes, I'm using real butter. Don't scrimp. Please don't use none of that nasty margarine. You want your bread to have a beautiful crust. And of course, the butter also imparts some amazing flavor into the bread. Now here comes the fun part. Time to get the dough into the baking dish. And what I'm using is a dough scraper. You can use a spatula or whatever you wish to use. And let me tell you, it's a sticky dough. Now if I can get my hands to work, it'd be even better. And it only took about 55 minutes for this to rise. As long as you have a good warm area, it will rise very fast. Try to push your dough out just a little bit. Now, you're going to let this rise again in a warm place, only about 30 minutes. And you want to do it uncovered. And while this is rising, I'm going to go in, cut the oven on, let it be heating up. You want to preheat your oven at 425 degrees. And I will bring you back as soon as this is ready to go in the oven. See you here in a little bit. Okay, now that the oregano, Parmesan, and garlic bread has rose up over half, it is time to go get her in the oven. I'm going to bake her at 425 for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to drop it down to 375 for another 15 minutes. And I will bring you back when she is baked. I'm looking forward to this because the house is going to smell wonderful. See y'all after a while. I caught myself. I knew I had forgot something. I'm going to drizzle. I melted about a tablespoon or so of real butter, and I'm just going to lightly drizzle it around just to give it just a little more flavor. Now she's going to the oven. Whew, what a night. I'll see you here when she's done. Okay, the Parmesan garlic bread, well, not Parmesan garlic oregano, or also known as Parmesan herbed bread, is done. She is beautiful, and she should come right out of your pan as long as you have buttered it very well. Look at that beautiful golden brown crust, and you want it to rest for at least 10 minutes. That way it'll develop its crumb and it will slice better. And I will bring you back here in a little bit after the last loaf of bread is done, and we will have a taste test because I've got some butter ready to go. See you after a while. Okay, on to the third and final peasant bread recipe for this video. Here I have 4 cups of bread flour. Now you can use 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of wheat flour, and 4 cups of gluten-free flour. But like I said, gluten-free, you can follow this recipe and see if you need to add more of your flour or your gluten-free flour or more water. And here I have a half a cup of ground together pecans and walnuts. I ground up 2 2-ounce bags, and I reserved 2 tablespoons of the ground nuts. And now you just barely want to break them up. You do not want to make nut butter at all. And in the bowl it goes. And like I said, I reserved 2 tablespoons of the ground nuts. And I will show you later on what we're going to do with it. And you want to make sure that you get those ground nuts incorporated in your flour. And you see little specks. This is going to be a little bit heartier bread. I want a 1/4 cup of freshly grated, very good dry Parmesan cheese. Of course, once again, 2 teaspoons of sugar. And I only use cane sugar. Now, since it has the nuts in it, and it's just a little bit more dense, I'm going to use about 2 1/4 teaspoons of good instant yeast. With instant yeast, you do not have to proof it, which is wonderful. There we go. Get that mixed in very well. Oh, it smells so good. Now I'm going to want, because salt is a preservative and it does give bread flavor, I want 2 teaspoons of pink Himalayan salt. Of course, I'll have the recipe in the description box below for all 3 breads. And we're going to add in our 2 cups of lukewarm water. And you're going to stir it really well. And since this is peasant bread, there's no kneading it. I forgot my spatula was hanging up, so I grabbed it this time. You don't need to knead it, and you can see the nuts in there very well now. I'm going to tell you, this smells good. And that's all you do. You do not at all have to knead this. You just want to make sure that it's mixed together very well. See how beautiful that dough looks? And you can see the little speckles of the pecans and walnuts in it. Now we're going to cover this up, put it in a warm place for about an hour, hour and a half, until it doubles in size. And once it is doubled, I will bring you back. See you here in a little bit. Okay, the Parmesan pecan walnut bread has risen to double in size. It's been a little over an hour because it's a more dense bread. So you're going to want to use a fork to deflate it. And believe me, it is a very sticky dough. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Now, I have already buttered my baking vessel, which this is a ceramic covered cast iron Dutch oven. Now, I'm going to take mine just a little step further. You don't have to. Just make sure that whatever you bake your bread in, you can use you can cut your dough in half and use 2 1-quart oven safe Pyrex bowls to bake it in. You can bake it in a loaf pan. I'm just making a big round loaf. I'm going to add just a little depth of touch. I was blessed to get a hold of some roasted walnut oil. So I'm going to put a little bit in there. And it's just going to add just a little more depth of flavor. And it'll mingle with the butter. And it's going to be even better. Oh, that smells good. Take a dough scraper, if I can pick it up. There we go. And scrape your dough. Like I said, if you're making 2 loaves, you're going to want to cut your dough in half. And try to get all that dough out of there. You're going to want to make sure that you get it spread out real well. I absolutely love this bread. I've been making it for about 20 years or better now. I love peasant bread. Found the recipe in an old cookbook. Okay, now I'm going to take it just a little bit further. Remember that I had said about saving the tablespoon, at least a tablespoon, if not 2, of your ground pecan walnut mix. And I'm just going to lightly oil the top a little bit. Going to give it even more depth of flavor. You don't want to add a whole lot. You just want to add a little bit. And see now, since it's got to rise again, you can get in there and really mush it on there. Now what I'm going to do, oh, the smell is amazing. I'm going to just sprinkle the crushed pecans and walnuts on the top. And any that you have left over, just store it in a Ziploc baggie in your fridge and use them within a week's time. It don't look like I'm not going to give it a chance to not use it all. And always make sure your work surface is clean. That way you can scoop it up. And what I'm going to do is just pat it into the dough. Make sure it has really good contact. And you're going to want to let this sit for at least 30 minutes and let it rise in a good warm spot, uncovered. And I will bring you back as soon as it has rose and it's ready to go in the oven. Just remember, at least 30 minutes, because this is a denser bread and it's going to take a little bit longer for it to rise. I'll see you back here after a while. The Parmesan pecan walnut bread has risen nicely. Now it's time to go put it in the oven. And just like the other bread here, it's going to bake at 425 for 15 minutes. And then you're going to drop it down to 375 for 15 more minutes. And I will bring you back when she's done. Okay, the Parmesan pecan walnut bread is done. This one's a little tricky sometimes to get out, because you don't want to lose all your topping. And sometimes it likes to stick. All you do is just gently go around and see where it's sticking. This one might have a mind of its own, but it's so worth it. So worth it. I'm going to try it again. It's sticking on the bottom, that's why. And that's what I was worried about, is losing most of your topping. Well, not most, but just a little bit of it. I must have missed a spot with the butter. That's one thing you have to be careful of, but guess what? This bread's still going to be tasty. It's trying. Yep, it stuck pretty good, but you know what? Still going to eat it. Still going to eat it. Just proves no matter what, not everything's perfect. But you know what? It's going to be really good. I thought I had saw a spot that I missed buttering. It's my own fault for not going back over it. I love this bread so much. Alright, I'm going to let that cool for 10 minutes so it can develop its crumb. And I'll bring you back and it's going to be buttered bread tasting time. I know what they taste like. I just want you to know, to see how good it is. I'll bring you back after a while. Alright, before me, 2 beautiful loaves of homemade bread. Simple, easy to do. Now, I didn't make the white bread recipe because I had 2 pans. All you do is, like I showed you, you mix it, add your water, and then follow the rest of the video where you let it rise, and then do it just like the other 2 recipes show you how to do it. Now, lesson learned. Those are new pans I've never baked in before. They baked wonderful. It was my mistake on the second loaf of not double checking and making sure that the whole pan was buttered real well. Nothing wrong with the bread. You know what? I'm still going to eat it because it's still good. And let me tell you, that bottom, little bit of bottom crust that come off, I done ate that. That was good. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't wait. So, we're going to start with the beautiful Parmesan herbed bread. Now, if you want to, this is perfectly fine crusted for me. If you like it darker, what you do is you take it out of the pan and set it on the oven rack and let it bake until it gets the color that you like. I think it's perfect. Look at that beautiful crust. Oh, and it smells so good. And of course, I got the wrong kind of knife for this job, but you know what? It's still going to cut it. Oh, listen to that. Beautiful. Let me tell you, it smells so good. Now, this is peasant bread. It's fully cooked. It's just going to be a little moister than what people are used to if you do a hand-kneaded bread. Other than that, let me tell you, amazing with soups, amazing sandwich bread. It's wonderful. You can also toast it, cut it thin, toast it if you wanted to, and make croutons with it. Anything that you do regular bread, this is the same thing. Let's get some real butter. No margarine, folks. You got to quit using that stuff. Of course, the bread's cooled down, so the butter's not going to melt that well, but that's okay. You know what? I can always stick it in the oven for a little bit. Oh, and if you cut it just right, like you're making a sandwich, let me tell you, amazing grilled cheese sandwiches as well. Alright. Pick off a piece here. Oh, let me tell you, that's amazing. And don't you worry one bit, that piece of bread's going to get finished. I just don't want to sit here and be rude and eat a whole slice of bread in front of you. Because I was raised, if I don't have enough to give to everybody else, don't eat in front of anybody. Now actually the third bread, or technically the second bread I baked, turned out beautiful. Look at that, beautiful. And yep, I'm not ashamed of my mistake. You know what? That doesn't hurt the taste of that bread, not one bit. Just make sure that this is a learning lesson. Always double check, make sure every section is buttered very well in your pan, and you'll have no problem whatsoever. And this is a good, hearty, healthy bread here. Look at that beautiful bread. Just beautiful. Good crumb. Let's put some butter on this baby. And of course, you're getting a lot of health benefits from the having the pecans and the walnuts in it. You're getting some protein, a lot of omega-3s, and all the wonderful healthy benefits of what pecans and walnuts have to offer. Now, of course, if you're allergic to nuts, please, for the love of God, don't make this bread. Do not make this bread if you're allergic to tree nuts. I'm going to pinch off another little piece here. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful bread. Oh my gracious. You can taste the Parmesan, the pecans, the walnuts. Wonderful bread. This would make excellent sandwiches. You can use this for so many things. Anything and everything that you use bread for, you can do the same thing with this bread. It's just a whole lot quicker to make and a whole lot easier as well. And don't get me wrong, I will make homemade kneaded bread in a heartbeat, but I like a little change every once in a while. I hope this video encourages you also to make your own homemade bread. It's simple, it's easy, anybody can do it. Follow the directions in the videos and you can do it. And hey, if your bread sticks, it's not the end of the world. Guess what? It's a learning lesson to make sure that I pay more attention next time to my pans. And plus, it's a new pan. Now I know that I had better make sure that it's buttered well, so this bread does not stick. And it didn't stick that bad. Simple, easy, and as always, the best is homemade. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. And also remember, ingredients, as long as you stick to the basics of the bread, you can add all kinds of herbs, seasonings, other nuts, leave nuts out, add fruit to it, pecan, cranberry, you can add raisins to it, whatever you want to. Simple, easy, and homemade. And like I said, I will be making another video on down the road just a little bit where I'm do other recipes, other ways to make this bread and use it. I hope you've enjoyed this video because I've had a blast making bread. I love to make bread. I just usually don't have a whole lot of time. But this time, I took the time, and I'm going to be so thankful for this bread. Everyone, take care. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and may you each be blessed. I'll see you soon.